2014, question number one had to deal with understanding the chart that they give you. They give you a chart that says the graph below shows a demand curve, D, right here, marginal revenue curve, the MR curve, falls below 0 there, and then the average total cost curve, and the long run average total cost curve along with the marginal cost curve as well. So there's a bunch of points on this graph that they're going to ask you to label or understand, and they're just trying to figure out if you understand what the concepts are here. So the first one is really basic. It says, using the numbers given in the graph, identify each of the following for the profit maximizing monopolist, the quantity produced. Well, they're going to produce at this point right here where MR equals MC. So that's going to be a quantity of 4 and a price of 40. So for 1A1, quantity is 4. For 2, and the price is 40. For 3, it asks the allocative efficient quantity, and for something to be allocative efficient, we want to make sure that the marginal cost equals the demand, and that's going to be at this point right here, so that quantity is going to be 8. For question B, it says at the profit maximizing quantity from part A1, here, quantity 4, is the monopolist experiencing economies of scale? Explain. And the answer is no, because the long run average total cost curve is not downward sloping. All right, as output increases. As now assume that the monopolist produces 10 units using the numbers given in the graph. Calculate each of the following. The monopolist's economic profit. Well, a little misleading there. There is no profit here because when they're producing 10, the average total cost per unit is $20 and the price is $10. So they're losing $10 for every unit that they're producing. So if you had $20 minus $10, that gives you a $10 loss times 10 units. Well, that's going to give you a loss of 100. So it's a $100 loss there. The next question says, what's the consumer surplus? So for C2, the consumer surplus is going to be from here to from $10 over the quantity of 10 up to 60 and down. So when we look at this, we're looking at the price being 60 minus 10 and 10. So that's going to give us 60 minus 10 equals 50, and we're selling 10 units times 10 units. That gives us 500 divided by 2 equals $250 consumer surplus. For number 3, it asks about a deadweight loss. Okay, what's the deadweight loss here at this point? Well, this is the area when we see that the price is at $10, but the cost is at 20. We're producing 10. What's happening here is this is the area where the deadweight loss is located. So to figure that out, we take the difference, 20 minus 10 gives us a cost of 10, and we have a quantity of 10 minus 8, so that gives us 2. So when we're looking at the difference between these two to get this area of the triangle, you do 10 times 2 is 20, divided by 2 equals 10. So there's a $10 deadweight loss that's occurring there. Okay. Next question for D. I'm going to move D up here. D says, at what quantity is demand unit elastic? So D, quantity is unit elastic at 6 units. Why? Because that's at 0, and anything over on this side would be considered elastic, and anything over here on this side would be considered inelastic. It doesn't ask us to explain. We could talk about the total revenue being at its maximum at that point, which would indicate that the unit 6 would be unit 6 units would be unit elastic. For E, it asks 2 questions here. First question says, suppose that the monopolist is perfectly price discriminating and chooses the quantity that maximizes profit. Determine the dollar value of each of the following. Well, what's the monopolist's profit at this point? So the monopolist's profit at this point is going to be, they're able to sell units at from 60 to 20. All right. So this is where they will produce, but they will be selling all of the units that are within that triangle right there, because they can sell some at $58, some at $50, some at $42, some at $36, some at $29, and then clear the rest out at $20. So what we're doing is looking for that area of that triangle. So we're going to take, for here, 60 minus 20, that's going to give us 40. And that's going to be times 8. So 40 times 8, all right, equals 320. And take 320 and divide that by 2 to give us a triangle of 160. So the consumer surplus, the monopolist's profit is going to be $160. It then asks us to determine consumer surplus size, and there is no consumer surplus. The monopolist, perfectly price discriminating monopolist, is able to clear out all the items, all the units, because they can change the price as time goes on, and there's no consumer surplus when a monopoly perfectly price discriminates. That's 2014, number 1. Thanks.